The Finals is literally the coolest FPS game ever made. Every single aspect of it drips with style and creativity. It's what happens when you take the game show theme of Monday Night Combat, douse the hell out of it with the destruction from Red Faction Guerrilla, and give a set of matches to ex-DICE devs. A super fresh take on the FPS genre that is nowhere near as popular as it should be. I wanted to experience the Finals, but it's been like 7 seasons. Is there really any point to jumping into this game this late, as a relatively new player? I'm sure you've experienced this before. You get into a multiplayer game fairly late into its life cycle, and find yourself completely lost with all of the mechanics which the long-time player base has had time to figure out, finding yourself losing every single fight, and quickly coming to the conclusion that your time to enjoy this game has passed. This was my concern for the Finals, being a fairly competitive looking game from the outside. So is the Finals worth getting into? And more importantly, is it accessible for new players? At first it was pretty rough. After I finally figured out the god-awful menu and jumped into a game, I found myself constantly dying and having very little effect on the outcome of the game. In one game, some heavy tethered me to the ground with some device, then proceeded to smash my face in with the sledgehammer. In another, a player hacked the wall right behind me, then proceeded to give the back of my head some piercings. There was so much which I didn't understand. Even in simple gunfights, I seemed to be losing despite shooting first and hitting most, if not all, of my shots. It was really rough. It would have been easy to quit here and chalk it up to I'm just not good enough, but I decided to persevere. I can't improve my aim in a quick and reasonable way. I'm not 20 anymore. I can't spend hours in an aim trainer, but I can certainly learn good in-game habits from other players who are completely dumping on me in order to even the playing field a little. How did it go? Well, let me tell you that I've been having an absolute blast with this game for the past few weeks, and despite some early teething issues, I would absolutely recommend new players try this game out. But I also want to help you out so that you can avoid some of that early frustration which I feel like probably loses a lot of green players. I want to provide some early findings to make your introduction as fun as possible, and also some tips for newer players. The first thing that I learned is that your success, or more often failure, in this game completely depends on how well you play with your team. The time to kill is quite high, and as such you can rarely 1v3 unless you play perfectly and are literally fighting the Three Stooges. I cannot stress this enough. Grouping up is absolutely critical if you want to enjoy this game, which I know isn't completely natural to everyone, but I promise you, if you cannot get into this mindset and you just endlessly focus on going where you want to go and doing what you want to do, this game is going to suck for you. Your health bar will be constantly melting from the concentrated fire of a team who is sticking together. If you're finding that your team isn't cooperating well, then force them to. Stick to them like glue. Anywhere they go, you go. Anything they shoot, you shoot. When they go down, revive them. Not only will you be doing better than if you had just let them do what they wanted to do alone, but they will also notice that things aren't going as poorly as they usually do. And it's all because of your stickiness? Noticing this, I quickly decided that the medium class of character would be the best for helping me stick with and support my team. Their default weapon is the AKM, which is a good all-round weapon which helps me support my team at a variety of different ranges. Their default specialization is the heal beam, which I can use to keep my team topped up during the brief periods of downtime mid-fights. Mediums also have access to a couple of movement deployables, such as the jump pad and zipline, which I can use in order to help my team capture the high ground or move around the level quicker. And of course they have access to defibs, which act as a fast revive mechanic. Speaking of reviving, let me take a brief period to discuss this, since it's an aspect which I find plays a massive part in the game. When players are killed, they leave these little dolls. These are what you use to revive your teammates. Head over to them, click and hold the interact button, then after around 5 seconds, your teammate will be revived to full health. A noteworthy aspect is that these can be picked up and moved. I find that you should do this often if your teammate's revive figure is out in the open or in a spot where enemies are around. Try to find a safe spot like an unoccupied room or under some stairs so that you aren't an easy target when reviving, since getting caught out mid-revive is most of the time certain death. Reviving with the defib takes roughly half the time, but it only revives players with 50% health and leaves their abilities on a short cooldown. This is great if you need an extra player fast to help even the numbers, but if you don't and you have time for a normal revive, I would prioritize that, since this also means that you can save your defibs for when you actually need them. I personally put a lot of priority on reviving teammates. As I mentioned, your team is critical for success, so if you're down a teammate in a fight, the odds are massively against you. Of course, not dying at all is something that I should probably strive for. As such, there are a couple of things that I quickly learned that I can do in order to help me do that. For one, you've probably noticed that unlike most games these days, you don't have a secondary weapon. No whipping out your pistol if you don't manage to get the kill with your primary. As such, making every bullet count is critical. Headshots are very important if I want to win fights, especially when I'm fighting heavies that have much more health. Thankfully, since they move the slowest of all the classes, this is something that I got used to. Another thing is learning how I can dip the fuck out. Sometimes if a fight isn't going my way, I need to get out as quickly as possible. Thankfully, the finals has some of the smoothest vaulting in the industry, which, given how crazy the destruction can be, is absolutely necessary. Being able to quickly identify the fastest and safest way from a pursuer is very important, since if you're killed, you can no longer help your team in the fight. So even surviving with a sliver of health and just losing enemy aggro is massive, since you'll be able to still put in some important damage. I know I have to improve in this aspect a lot more than my current level. I've chased multiple players who are at 1 health and they seem to just disappear into the ether. I have got to get to that level. But if you do die, I wouldn't let it get to you too bad. This game can be very frustrating if you focus on your KD. Your ultimate goal is to win, and to do that you need to take and hold the cash box, which should be your absolute priority. But you need to be smart about this. A couple of things that I've been trying to consider when I go for the cash boxes are, if we capture this box right now, is my team able to hold it? If not, it might be worth trying to continue to fight or group up and revive your teammates instead of capturing it. If we don't start capturing this box right now, do we lose? In this case, you need to just dive in on it. You don't have time to fight. You have to hope that your team gets in to make sure that you capture it. Or use your body to block bullets aimed at your capturing teammates. Get between them and the enemy. Even if you do die but get that last minute steal off, you're still in the game. And finally, sometimes it is worth letting a different team get the box first. Let me explain. Say a pink team has the box, and if they capture this, they win. But when you arrive, orange has just killed them and won the fight, and is currently capping the box. If you stop orange capturing and the fight lasts long enough that no team can recover it from pink, then both you and orange lose. Let orange get the box, but make sure that the person capturing dies right after they get the steal. Then you're at least one team member up and can hopefully finish the fight with orange, capture and replenish before pink can come. And if you can't steal the box, it just means that orange gets ahead and you can continue to fight for future cash boxes since pink is yet to win. In my early matches, I had a huge problem with certain strategies which enemies were implementing, and they seemed completely broken. I couldn't understand why Embark would let these strategies be available, because it seemed like they had no counter. It was only after playing around with those strategies myself I discovered the weaknesses of them. In this game there's lots of counterplay which doesn't seem obvious until you experience it. So let me cover a few common strategies which I saw and how I felt the best way to counter them was. Melee weapons are so strong, and it seemed like every time I would try to fight a melee player, they would absolutely stomp me 1v1. Look, I'm not the best at aiming, but when someone is up in my face like that zipping around, it seemed impossible to win against them. How do you beat this? Yes, 1v1 I would be in trouble, but put that same individual trying to melee me with my team around me and they get absolutely shredded. Melee's strength is fighting you one-on-one. Take that out of it and you'll quickly find that they can't do much. Another strategy if you find that your team is being less cooperative than you would like in order to counter this is to bring a shotgun. Being melee, they have to get up close, which is now when your shotgun becomes most powerful. Adding to that, if you're struggling with shotgun users, then your grouping up strategy also will work well against them. When your enemy is trying to protect the cash box, they're going to put down everything they can to stop you and to make stealing as hard as it can be. They'll set up mines, turrets, goo the entrances, and camp the corners, and it can seem like any sort of assault is doomed to fail from the start. But there is one thing that can break that right open. Remember, the finals isn't your classic FPS. Not only can you destroy your enemy, but the map itself. In cases where they've set up like this, I would absolutely use the destructible environment in order to bypass their defenses. A strategy that I have learned to love uses the dematerializer, which is a medium specialization. This lets me hack walls, floors, ceilings, so that they're in a temporal state in which they act as if they're not there. It also lets me put these items in the temporal state back. If you are able, ask your team to head under the cash box. Demat the ceiling under the box away. Then right as the box falls, put the ceiling back. You have now swiped the cash box, and the enemy team's setup will actually hinder them from getting to you, giving you ample time to steal and prep for the fight with the confused team above. Of course, you don't need the demat in order to get the cash box like this. You can just use other destruction tools, of course without the awesome ability to fix the hole at the same time. The light class is the zippy, high DPS, low health character. Their goal is to catch you out or get you alone in order to whittle your health down as much as possible before you can fight back. Good light players seem to have it all. They'll get in, deal a lot of damage to you and your team, and be gone before you can retaliate. They seem like the absolute undisputed best class, right? Well, maybe, but it really is a skill to play them well. Trust me, I've played against them with loads of lights who rush in without team support and just immediately die. Sticking closely together is the best strategy to deal with this, and since they're such a squishy threat, I would recommend prioritize killing lights first if you're able. There are plenty of other things which seem very good, but before you get frustrated and quit because of a broken mechanic, try to be smart about it. Think about what the weaknesses could be, or hell, try out the broken mechanic yourself and figure out what shuts down this strategy best. Whining about it isn't going to solve anything, but developing your game sense in order to fight these strategies is fun and will make you a better, more flexible player. And let's be honest, the most broken thing about this game is the garbage menu layout. Like, why is it like this? I really hope that this introduction gets you to try out the finals, whether you're a new player or one who jumped in a while back and couldn't get into it like myself. You see, I originally played this game a long time back when I was lucky enough to be selected into their beta. I only got limited time with it, but I was excited to see where they would take this game. However, once the game was released, there was a lot which frustrated the hell out of me and I ended up dropping it. But the spark was always there and I was excited to revisit it. It's come a long way and I think it does deserve a lot more attention. So remember, stick with your team and don't get eliminated!
What are these people running from? They're not. They're running to the world's toughest game show in town.